Hi guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. Today I am very excited to share with you my Gilmoreathon TBR. So the Gilmoreathon is a brand new readathon that was started by Desi from Pastel Pages and two other girls. I will leave all the hosts' channels and announcement videos linked down below. But they decided to start a Gilmoreathon, which is a readathon that centers around the best show of all time, Gilmore Girls. And I am very, very, very excited for this readathon. I love Gilmore Girls. I have been watching them for a few years now. I never watched them when they originally were released, but since they've been on Netflix, I've watched the entire series a handful of times. So I am very excited to participate in this readathon. The readathon takes place the first 2 weeks of October, so the 1st through the 15th, and there are two different ways that you can participate in the readathon. One is to read as many books as you can from the Rory Gilmore book list, which is a list of all of the books that are mentioned or are shown in the Gilmore Girls series, and it is a very comprehensive, very long list of books. The other way to participate is that the three hosts have come up with 7 different challenges as well as a group book for us all to read together, and that is how I am choosing to participate in the readathon. So I figured I would share with you guys what the challenges are and what my pick for each of the challenges will be. So the first challenge is to read a book with a school setting that is set in a school, and specifically this is in honor of Rory going to Chilton and then to Yale, and so kind of that atmosphere of being in school. Gilmore Girls is a very school-centric show, so yeah. My pick for this challenge is New Kid by Jerry Craft. And this is a book that is a middle grade graphic novel. I like to throw in some middle grades in most of my readathons, and also graphic novels always help. But this is about a 7th grader who really likes to draw and likes the arts and wants to go to art school, but instead his parents send him to a very prestigious academic private school. And he finds out that he is one of the very few kids of color in his grade, let alone at his school. And so he is having to travel back and forth from his neighborhood to the area where his school is at, and is finding it hard to balance his home friends with his school friends. And it just sounded very reminiscent of Rory's time at Chilton. And even though this is middle school and Chilton was high school, it just really, really reminded me of that, having to balance your home life and your school life, and the kids that you're in school with aren't necessarily like the kids that you are around at home. And yeah, so I'm very excited for this. So that is my school setting pick. The next challenge is to read a book with a complicated love story, and this is in honor of Rory and Dean and Jess and that love triangle, and then also Lorelai is always in a mess with her love life. So read a book that has a complicated love story, and for this I'm actually going to be doubling up on another challenge, and that is the challenge to read a book with Asian representation, whether it's the author or a character in the book or something like that, and that is in honor of Lane and Mrs. Kim. So for this I'm going to be obviously reading Frankly in Love, which I am very excited for. As soon as I heard the premise of this book, it sounded exactly like Lane, and it is about a boy who is of Korean descent, and his parents want him to only date Koreans, which is exactly what happened to Lane, and instead he falls in love or likes a white girl, and so he decides to fake date another Korean girl while simultaneously actually dating a white girl, and in the process things get dicey. So, and this is actually something that happened in Gilmore Girls with Lane, and she is pretending to date a boy, and he ends up falling for her, and she doesn't like him back, and it's a whole thing. You should watch the show if you haven't. But yeah, so this just reminded me of this so much that I had to include it in this readathon, and it fit perfectly for these two challenges. So this is the one that I'm going to be doubling up on for those 2 challenges. The next challenge is to read a book with food on the cover, and this is in honor of Sookie, and also the Gilmores eat a lot, like a lot. So yeah, that as well. And for this, I picked another middle grade book. This is Midsummer's Mayhem. This is one that I was hoping to get to earlier this year when Kara from Wild Book Garden had her middle grade readathon, and I never got around to it. But this is Midsummer's Mayhem by Rajani LaRocca. And this is a Midsummer Night's Dream retelling in middle grade form, and it is about a girl who likes to bake pastries. And it's an Indian American family, and she is trying to do a competition where she's trying to bake pastries, and it's a Midsummer Night's Dream retelling. I don't really know much else about this. I know Kara really liked it, so I really want to get to this. I don't know if I'm going to or not, but fingers crossed. So that is my pick for food, my food book. The next challenge is to read a book with a complicated mother-daughter relationship, and that is obviously in honor of Rory and Lorelai and their very unique relationship that they have as mother and daughter. And for this, I decided to pick up Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. This is one that a lot of people are using for this challenge, and the reason that I grabbed this one for this challenge is, one, it's on my owned shelf and I need to read it anyway, but also a few months ago, actually, I started Googling books to read if you love Gilmore Girls, and then this readathon popped up, which was very convenient. This is on almost every single list to read. If you like Gilmore Girls, read Where'd You Go, Bernadette. So it seemed like an obvious choice for this readathon. This is about a girl who wins a trip to Antarctica as a prize from for a reward for perfect grades. And her mother is agoraphobic and kind of has a panic attack and disappears, and then they have to find her. That's all I know. But it does say that at the end, it is about the power of a daughter's love for her imperfect mother, which pretty much sums up Gilmore Girls to me. So this is my pick for that. The next challenge is to read the next book in a series that you've been meaning to pick up. And for this, I'm going to continue on with my Betsy Tacy read along and move on to Betsys Wedding. I thought that this fit really well for this readathon because Betsy and Tacy, the Betsy Tacy series, is all about a small town in Minnesota, and we all know Stars Hollow, very small town. And so, I thought that this would be a good option for that. And it is the last book in the Betsy Tacy series that I need to finish. So hopefully I can get through Betsy and the Great World before next week when this readathon starts. But I'm hoping to get through Betsy's Wedding. And then the next challenge is to read a book with a fall or winter setting. And this is just because Gilmore Girls is quintessentially fall. When you think about fall time, that's when you think, okay, it's time to start the Gilmore Girls again for the millionth time. And I think the reason people think that is because if you've never seen the show, the introduction montage with the theme song and everything, the first shot is across this town with all the autumn leaves showing, and it's very autumnal colors and just kind of has that vibe, and that carries on throughout the show, even during some of the summer seasons and things like that, and spring. It just feels very cozy and fall and winter like. And so anyway, that is what this prompt is kind of in honor of. And for this one, along with many other people, I also have chosen to pick up Pumpkinheads, and I am very excited for this. This is another graphic novel. I'm gonna be checking this out via an e-reader because none of my libraries have it, and it's not really in my budget right now to buy a new graphic novel because they can kind of get spendy. But none of my libraries have it in print form, so I'll have to be reading it on an e-reader, which is not ideal, but I really, really, really want to read this book, and so this seemed perfect. But this is about a couple of kids who work at a pumpkin patch and have for years, and this is their last year working there, and so they just kind of decided to go and explore a little bit, and that's really all I know about it. but it takes place in a pumpkin patch during fall, and that sounded great to me. And it's a graphic novel, which I love, so that works for me too. So that is my fall/winter pick. And then the last challenge is to read the group book, which is Lauren Graham's Talking as Fast as I Can, from Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls and everything in between. So this is kind of her memoir. I will probably be checking this out via audiobook, but I grabbed the hard copy from my library mainly because in most memoirs there are pictures and things like that, and I wanted to check those out, and there are in this one too. And so yeah, I am excited. I know it's a very short audiobook, which is greatly appreciated because this is a lot of reading to get done in 2 weeks for me, and I have my Scythe read along. If you have not heard, Emily from Books for Life and I are hosting a Scythe and Thunderhead read along during October, and so the first 2 weeks we're reading Scythe. So along with all of these books, I'll also be reading that. So yeah, but this one I'm definitely going to be getting to because this sounds perfect. So anyway, like I said, it is a lot of reading to get done in 2 weeks, but I'm hoping I have a couple graphic novels in there and a couple audiobooks, so hopefully I'll be able to get some done. I don't know if I'll actually be able to get through all of these, but these are the books that I will be picking from the first 2 weeks of October as far as what I'm going to be reading. So anyway, if you are participating in this read along, please comment down below what book you are most hoping to get to, and also let me know what your favorite episode of Gilmore Girls is. I'd love to know that as well. And yeah, if you have never watched Gilmore Girls, it is on Netflix, and I highly, highly encourage you to go check that out. And other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!